लास्ट टॉपिक स्टार्ट करना है. क्लास नंबर 7. क्लास नंबर 7. अच्छा, वी हैव टू स्टार्ट वैट 6 और 7. कोई बात. Decriminalization tax. अच्छा, that is actually it is not tax, actually a kind of concept, you can say that if you say that विवाद से विश्वास तक or this one सबका विश्वास scheme is kind of that one, that if there is a legal proceedings against them and all, that would be diluted, yes, with the introduction of those direct and indirect. So there are several provisions. Not this is one of the ways. There are several other ways also. If some legal proceedings against them and all, if you have some certain level of deposit, then that money would be that tax that avoidance would not be considered as an avoidance. Green economy. For that, you have at least you have studied green GDP. Yes, when we are including that environmental consequences also inside the development of the economy, inside the calculation of the GDP, environmental consequences. For example, suppose that the size of the economy is 1 lakh crore rupees, but because of the pollution and all, around 10,000 crore rupees people are paying to the doctors in terms of medical bills and all because of those pollution. Then the green GDP, green economy in that sense is 90,000 crore rupees. So environmental adverse effect of that on the economy. When you see that better and better, so green GDP is considering the environmental consequences also. That is, it means the river pollution, water pollution, all kind of pollution will include the calculation of GDP. That one. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Company not having permanent established in India but earning revenue from and data is signed between India and the company is established. So whether that non-resident country is liable to pay corporate tax. थोड़ा छोटा लिखते तो अच्छा रहता. And data is signed between India, the company where it is established. So that non-resident countries, it's all about, please you also include into it. This is non-resident and online companies. Then obviously it will have to pay. Okay. See, in the discussion of VAT, we need to understand why there is a need of VAT and why we replace this VAT with the GST. We did it in July 2017, except 7 items. If you see that 5 petroleum products, alcohol for human consumption, and the 7th one is electricity. Now the other items and the services are inside the GST. Why we did that? Regularly, continuously, I give one example, but I'm giving it again because in detail we are going to study this. There are 2 states A and B. I told you that under the VAT, yes, if there is a 100 rupees item under the GST, there are 2 conditions and 2 set of taxes. 18% tax in the VAT, it is 118. But at the state boundary, there is a entry tax. Suppose 5 rupees. So it is 123. And in the municipalities or municipal corporation boundary, there is an after I duty. After I duty, suppose 2 rupees per unit, it will be 125. But in the GST, once GST is levied, other taxes would not be levied. Means that if it is 100 rupees and 18% tax, it will be 118. Then the other tax would not be levied. It will be 118 in B state also. Means in the GST, we can say that one nation, one tax. But in the VAT, we cannot say one nation, one tax. This state how much? 18. And this state how much? 25. Why? Because of the multiple taxes. In the GST, the multiple taxes would not be levied. Why? We say that one nation, one tax. This item 100 plus 18% tax in Delhi, 118. 100 plus 18% tax in Kerala also, 118. So developing the entire nation into a national common market when we say the GST with the principle one nation, one tax, because entire goods and services, they are categorized under the different tax rates. Software driven, if manually written, you cannot write the wrong tax rates on the items or services. Obviously, there is a heavy penalty for it. But look at the petrol under VAT, not under the GST. So this is the condition X, Y, and Z. Yes, that one state, you see that one state SINVAT. We have the SINVAT and SLVAT. SINVAT is a central value added tax. SLVAT is a state level value added tax. One state it is 20 rupees SINVAT and this is 32 rupees. Another state it is 20 because SINVAT would remain same imposed by the central government, but SLVAT is 21. Another state is this is 20. This is 14. Now look at the VAT in 3 different states. One is how much? 52. Another is how much? 41. And the third one is 34. Don't you think different states, different VAT? And it is because of what? SLVAT, state level VAT. So now I'm naming the states. This is Maharashtra, this is Delhi, and this is Uttarakhand. So don't you think that this is 52 rupees, 32 plus this, 52 here, 41 here, and 34 there. So same thing you cannot say about the GST. Coaching classes in Delhi or coaching classes somewhere else, it will attract 18% GST. It will not be different, isn't it? The price may be something else. It cannot be different. And that's why we say the tax rate would be same. Yes, in the GST, which is not the case under the VAT. You go near the this one, Noida, just after Delhi, beach make road hai. This side mein Delhi and this side Noida. It is written in the Noida petrol pump. यहाँ दिल्ली से सस्ता petrol मिलता है. So if that is written, the simple meaning is what? At that time, Delhi 104 and there 96 rupees 52 paisa. Isn't it? It is because of what? It is because of this SLVAT. One state something else, another state something else. Isn't it? That one. And it means we know that if there is an increment into the price of petrol and diesel, and both the governments responsible, central government also and state governments also, because the tax, which is also one of the contributory factor into its increment, both are levying it, isn't it? So if some states, some political parties, and if their parties are ruling some states, if they are suppose issuing a statement and they say that petrol and diesel के price में आग लगी है, तो तुम आग को बुझा दो, you make it as a zero, isn't it? You do not levy this tax. Still we get the tax amount. Yes, इसके बाद में मिलेगा 42%. Whatever central government collects, 42% of it would be transferred to the states according to the Finance Commission recommendation. एक वो भी है GST compensation till 17 to 2022. In what a duty structure additionally you will get. Some grants you will get, some economic package you will get. So this one, you say that no, we have the expenditure. You're right. That you have revenue expenditure of capital. So as the central government, they also have to pay the salaries to the central government staffs. They have the capital expenditure also. Yes, that one. So we say that yes, both are there. But anyway, if you want to develop the entire nation into a national common market, we needed to have a national level VAT. National level VAT. GST is a national level VAT. When we set up this VAT format, it is a regional level VAT. One region something else, another region something else, another region something else. Yes, apart from that, it was not including the services. This includes services also. Goods and services tax. See, so to save the nation from multiple taxation, to infuse ease of doing business in the internal trade. Don't you think internal trade easily aapko hoga? Because here you are paying this tax, and I have seen a long queue of trucks at the state boundaries to pay the tax. Further, worsening the quality of perishable items on those trucks. And if you see further, the reports by Ministry of Food Processing Industry, it says that whatever we are consuming, only 40% of the quality remains inside, mostly for the perishable items because of the delay in the transportation of it. Indian trucks, they travel 200 to 300 kilometers in a day. International average is 600 to 800 kilometers. That one. They carry 16.7 ton around items. America, 36 ton. So more. Apart from that, the faulty design of the national highways. We always see that through the cities, and 3 o'clock if the truck is reaching to the outskirts of the city, it will stay there till no entry. That will open 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night. Further worsening, and that's why we are making peripheral expressways, isn't it? This one, national highways, not elevated one. The problem is the local traffic, animals and all. So further slowing down the speed, and that's why focusing more on the expressway at present, elevated one. The animals would not come to slow down the speed, isn't it? Accidents also, the dogs and the nilgai and kind of things, they generally come and they disturb it. So that's why we're talking about elevated local traffics, that bicycle, rickshaws, bullock carts, they will not come. Yes, obviously that would increase the transportation and early reaching of those items, and that's why expressway we are talking about. You move from here to Mumbai, we see that it will take more than 2 days, normal roads, and through expressways now one is under construction, 12 hours. Why? It's all about that without disturbance. Even Nidhi Kankari in between demanded in the court that on the expressway the speed limit should be 120. Why 120? Because the disturbance is less, we always see. But anyway, we have several other supply chain issues, and further stopping those vehicles here now without stoppage they are moving, because ye to ab lagega hi nahi. Once GST is levied, these taxes would not be levied. To have, you can say, integrated tax structure, to develop the entire nation into a national common market, yes, to remove this multiple tax structure, we needed to have one integrated tax system called as GST in the form of national VAT. It is also VAT, but national level VAT. Why the earlier VAT and the VAT in the 7 items is what? Regional level VAT, when you see that. Okay, but when we when there is a way of imposition of this, suppose that Mr. X, what he did, that Mr. X purchased one piece of wood at 100 rupees, piece of wood at 100 rupees, and see, there is 10% tax he paid, so it is 110, and this is 10 rupees. 110 and 10 rupees is the tax. And piece of wood means purchased from someone, and that person had the tree, he did the cutting of trees, developed into a wooden plank, and selling to someone. So Mr. X purchased that one from A. Now he is preparing chair. Yes, he is preparing chair. So preparing chair from it, but only writing 100, not adding the tax amount. Why not adding the tax amount? We'll understand later on, because of the concept of ITC called as input tax credit. I will explain. At present, only understand one line, that tax paid by the manufacturer or service providers on the input would be refunded back. So you paid how much? 10. That will be refunded back. Why and how we'll discuss. For discuss the VAT. Refunded back. So since I know that this will be refunded back to me by the government, why should I carry it forward? And it is not allowed also, because 100 rupees to cost, I purchased that wooden plank. Now I'm developing it into a chair. So obviously there is a valuation of my hard work, that I'm adding 50, isn't it? Cost from my side and this. Overall, the chair is prepared at 150. Now ready to be sold. You are purchasing that chair. So you are paying 150 and plus 10% tax into it, isn't it? So you are paying 165 rupees to me, although the tax into it is how much? 50, isn't it? 50. This 15 is called as value added tax, gross value added tax. How? We have studied national income, there is a value added method or production method. Why value added is called as production? We know that. Suppose you come in the class and you know only those, I taught only those things which you already know. You say that there is the class was unproductive for me because there was no value addition in my knowledge. Yes, so value addition is the production. But you come into the class, this was a knowledge, now this is. You say that the class was highly productive because there was a value addition in my knowledge. So we say that value addition means production. So value addition by this A person, and I'm B. A person is how much? 100. And the valuation of his production. And valuation of my production is how much? ये तो किसी और का है, isn't it? ये A का है. And total A plus B, both are involved in the overall that chair. एक ने raw material, एक ने finally prepare किया. And finally the chair is ready to be sold at this price, but government is levying the tax into it, 165. Don't you think this 150 is the collection of value addition of A and B? Yes, overall value added tax is how much? 50. You say, somewhere I studied that value added tax is at each and every level of value addition. You calculate that. First value addition, how much? 100. What is the tax? 10%. So the tax payment here is how much? Value addition in the second. This is A. Value addition by B, 50. Yes, 10% of it. How much? 5. You add both. How much is going to the government? Isn't it? So whether you took the gross value or each and every level of it, both must match. And this is the tax which is levied at each and every level of value addition, each and every level of production. can I say that my production value is only this much? This is not produced by me, isn't it? This is produced by someone else. Why there is reduction of manufacturing cost, reduction of the prices of final goods? This is also the case of GST. I just told GST is a national level VAT. So GST itself is a VAT. So there is a cheaper product, reduction in the manufacturing cost, because I did not carry forward this 10 rupees. Isn't it? Because I know that government will refund it back to me. How and why we'll discuss. But understand that government will refund it back to me. So I'm not adding here. If government will not refund it back, what I will do? 110. So manufacturing cost increased because I paid 110. I will recover that money from you. So 110 I will add. Then the final good price would be not 150, it will be 160. And then 10% of 160. Then obviously the final goods price would also increase. So if ITC is there, it is reducing the manufacturing cost also. 110 ke jagah pe 100 hai. It is also reducing the price of final goods. When the past taxes do not carry forward, it is called as no cascading effect. No cascading effect. Cascading effect meaning is past taxes are carrying forward, isn't it? So if this 10 would be added here, we say that there is a cascading effect into it. It means people are just paying tax on tax, but not carrying forward. We say no cascading effect. And when we say cascading effect, we are talking about past taxes are not carrying forward. Yes, no past taxes further. It means so past taxes they are not carrying forward when we see this. So anyway, it is a tax which is at each and every level of value addition. I just calculated here. Yes, okay. VAT was on the goods, not on the services, and that's why in so many books we say that VAT was in the form of duty. I told you when Manmohan Singh brought service sector inside the tax net, they did this classification. Taxes on the goods would be called as duty, taxes on services tax. That's why excise duty, if you remember, kind of production tax, custom duty, isn't it? Bringing something from the outside, but there is no service duty. That was what? Service tax. So duty itself is a tax, but it's all about this classification so that easily someone can identify. But at present, everything is same, integrated. So now goods and services tax. So some American VAT was in the form of duty because it was in the it was on the goods only. That one. Okay, right. VAT. VAT is a kind of indirect tax. VAT is a kind of indirect tax, which is levied only on goods. Only on goods. First off, it is paid to the government. It is paid to the government by the procedures at every stage in the supply chain. First of all, VAT tax is applicable only on goods sold within. Only on goods sold within a particular state, which means that the buyer and the seller need to be in the same state. Buyer and seller need to be in the same state. So what does it mean? If you're from Tamil Nadu, you're purchasing petrol in Delhi, you'll have to pay the VAT of Delhi. Seller obviously from Delhi, but you are buyer from any state, but you have to pay the VAT of this one. You do write another subheading, VAT in India. Right. VAT is a tax which is charged on the gross margin. At every stage. In the sale of goods. Full stop. Right. Tax is assessed and collected. At each point. Starting from the manufacturer. Until the product reaches the retailer. See, introduced in 1986 on the recommendations of Lakshmikant Jha Committee. One student wrote M. Lakshmikant Jha. It's not M. Lakshmikant Jha. It's only Lakshmikant Jha Committee. I just see the same committee which recommended MSP also during 1964. Same. So Lakshmikant Jha Committee and 86. Initial suggestion was in the form of man VAT. I told you that VAT was on the goods, not on the services. So that's why the initial suggestion was in the form of man VAT. When we say man VAT, manufacturing value added tax. Manufacturing value added tax. Yes, manufacturing value added tax. But introduced in moderate form. Moderate stands for modified. Modified value added tax. Modified. Modified. Yes, modified value added tax. Yes. So modified value added tax, and there were three different rates: 8%, 16%, and 24%. Yes, that one. 8, 16, 24. Modified. Yes, that one. What is manufacturing value added tax? Man तो खैर man ही है, लेकिन man VAT जो है वो अलग है. So in 2000, actually Yashwant Sinha was the finance minister. He replaced three different rates with a single rate. SINVAT was only one rate, 16%. With a single rate of 16%, ModVat was replaced by SINVAT. SINVAT full form is Central Value Added Tax. SINVAT full form is Central Value Added Tax. Central. SINVAT, Central Value Added Tax. SINVAT. Yes, with a single rate of 16%, replaced by SINVAT, Central Value Added Tax with a single rate of 16%. Yes, there is a ITC and there is an inverted duty structure, and 2004 written Central Excise Duty with ITC, SINVAT, further SINVAT definition further expanded. State Sales Tax with ITC, SLVAT, oblique SVAT. SLVAT stands for State Level VAT, or SVAT also stands for same. Somewhere written SVAT, somewhere SLVAT. So SLVAT, State Level VAT, or SVAT, State Level VAT. So this is now we are going to understand about this ITC and about this inverted duty structure. I told you because inverted duty structure itself is an ITC, but there is some small difference. And see, हो गया ये आप लोग? अच्छा, please. पेन एक ही रखो, ये क्या दो रखो? 5-6 पेन रखते तो दिक्कत होती है. Yes, I know. हाँ, please आप बताइए. SINVAT, not SLVAT. SINVAT. ModVat was replaced by SINVAT with a single rate of 16%. SINVAT, Central Value Added Tax. अभी ITC समझेंगे ना, समझने दो. नहीं. कुछ बातें हो चुकी है, कुछ बातें अभी है बाकी. हो जाना है. Someone is asking what is ITC. अब आप बोल रहे हो ITC के बाद क्या होगा? पूछने तो बताने दो. So can you please explain after ITC? Well, ITC तो explain कर दूं. After ITC रुक जाओ. After ITC there is a comma and this arrow. अच्छा ये inverted duty structure. आपने explain लिखा है ना, बोलो बताने के लिए. If someone provides the transportation services to the goods produced, then the price of the product will increase. So will the government take a tax on that addition? Provide duties when the price of that product will increase. हाँ वो tax लगता है ना. The item someone is doing that, there is ITC provision and depend which kind of item is there. So please understand the ITC first, please. अभी बाकी है. Done. आपने लिखियो man जो लिखना था. So see, look at this input tax credit, please. Understand this and inverted duty structure. Two concepts. See this example. Again, I'm taking the same example. Written ITC that I purchased a piece of wood from someone at 100 rupees, but I paid 10% tax into it. So there was a 100 rupees payment, 10 rupees tax into it. But to prepare a chair out of it, I only carried forward the 100 rupees. I did not add the tax. Why? Because in 2014, government introduced input tax credit character. Means that whatever tax paid on the input, yes, by the manufacturer, service, later on service providers, at present everything, manufacturer, service provider, traders, this entire would be refunded back. Entire would be refunded back to make the manufacturing cost lower. Apart from that, it would not carry forward. So obviously the final goods price would also be lesser than if the tax would be added, if you compare that. So to reduce the price of final goods and also the manufacturing cost, government introduced this input tax credit. Tax paid on the input would be refunded back. Understand with several examples that in this, and there is no cascading effect. So saving the people from tax on tax. When I say this input tax, some examples I'm giving to clarify it further. Take the example of Vajiram. Yes, here also GST and there's an ITC character. Because I told you VAT, GST itself is a national level VAT. So the character of these also included inside it with more addition. So because we see the process, ManVat suggestion, ModVat, then SINVAT, then GST, isn't it? So this is the way to modify this VAT, entire the VAT. Now, suppose that Vajiram, because you always understand, at present GST we have and with VAT, it is always paid by the final consumer. Always paid by the final consumer. In that process, the manufacturer or service provider would remain GST tax free. Please, there should not be any confusion inside it. For example, Vajiram collected GST from you, suppose it is 10 crore. Suppose I'm telling you, from the students' fees and all. You are the final consumer of the Vajiram services. What is the service? Coaching classes. So along with the fee, you paid what? GST. You paid the GST, and that obviously does not belong to the Vajiram. Vajiram will return it back to the tax authorities. So 10 crore, this one. But to provide this final service, which is called as coaching class service, Vajiram has invested several amount in inputs. Don't you think? This electronic board, Vajiram has paid GST. That will be refunded back to the Vajiram. Input tax. Tax paid on input would be credited back. Yes, that one. Please, this other example also you see. This Vajiram has paid GST on this monitor. So whatever GST paid, refunded back. Camera, whatever GST paid, refunded back. AC, whatever GST paid, refunded back. Why? Because these all are working as an input. Yes, to provide the final service. And what is the final service? Coaching classes. Cars, although some condition for the cars. But okay, think that the condition fulfilled. So car used to provide transportation service to the teachers who are helping in the final services. So the car used to provide transportation service to the teachers. If GST paid, that can also be claimed. That one. So whatever, suppose this is 2 crore, this entire GST paid. So finally, the 8 crore would be paid by the Vajiram while producing the GST, that bill for that 2 crore, because every item purchased, there is a bill of it. So 2 crore ka hamara hai, you refund it back. 10 crore collected from the people, remaining 8 we are doing this. Now look at that. So in this entire process, Vajiram as a business unit is not paying even a single penny for GST. Not paying at all. The rate is that always final consumer pay this GST, and you are the final consumer. So that Vajiram has purchased it. Vajiram has nothing to do with that. It is used as an input to provide final services because you are consuming that one. It is up to the Vajiram that this input can work or another input can work. Isn't it? Might be that this blackboard and chalk, and might be the other whiteboard and marker system. So that is up to it. But obviously, that you are the consumer of the services provided by this. Take another example. Why the Vajiram exempted from the GST payment? Because it is because of the Vajiram economic activities. This the example 8 crore finally government is getting. So from the setup, this kind of setup, government is getting that one. So if the government is giving this relaxation to the example of Vajiram, all manufacturing, all service providers, so they are being promoted. Don't you think in that way they're also providing employment in the economy? Because if this way whoever are associated with that, they're employed, associated with this. So through that also increasing the employment in the economy and also getting a good amount of GST from there. So if that particular organization would not be promoted, if that organization would be closed, don't you think the entire GST collection will be zero? Promoted further, this 8 may become 10. This may be even further 11 and all. So that's why promotion. Apart from that, we say in this entire, it's not 8 crore, it's more than 8 crore. Because what is my statement? That it is always paid by final consumer. So Vajiram director himself is a final consumer of so many items. If you are purchasing car for personal use, then obviously you cannot claim ITC. Car for the teachers, for transportation, so obviously he's paying. Don't you think addition in this 8 crore? Yes, that one. From this kind of setup, the associated people are paying that GST. It's monitor for the teaching purpose, but TV for at the residence, obviously cannot claim the ITC. Isn't it? Anytime there will be checked that okay, that all the classrooms monitors are supposed 50. Yes, but you have claimed for 70, where are the remaining 20? Isn't it? So this is. So that one. Apart from that, laptop used for personal use, so obviously there cannot be ITC. So don't you think he himself is the final consumer of so many things? So on that, if there is a GST, no refund. So that will be further addition, 8 crore and paid by this. All the teachers and staffs, they're also final consumers. If they would purchase the items, obviously there will not be ITC into it. There will not be GST claim on the input because we are the final consumer. If you are the consumer, where is the input for you? Input always for those who are producing output. Input laga output milta hai. So we have the inputs and then output. So input, whatever tax you paid, that would be refunded back. And that's why promoting this. But later on we'll study GST, that there is one scheme, composition scheme, under which the manufacturers or service providers, they pay the GST. But that is exceptional case that we will discuss when we discuss the GST. Anyway, okay, so in this ITC, what is happening? ITC, what is happening? Don't you think output tax amount is greater than input tax amount? Greater than input tax amount? Yes or no? 15 rupees output and 10 rupees what? Input. So government is not paying anything from the pocket. Yes, that government has to, whatever 10 rupees kept aside, the government will not side mark out. This one 10. So government is that 10, even government does the expenditure of it, but what happens? That whatever 15, 10 would be paid, remaining 5 would go to the government. But see, there is another case, and I'm taking you the practical example. In the raw cotton and final fabric. Actually, raw cotton, the GST is 12%. So suppose 100 rupees valued cotton purchased, 12% GST paid. It is 112. The tax amount here is how much? 12. Actually, on the final fabric prepared out from that raw cotton, it was 18% tax. Government made that. But actually, several manufacturers, sellers, they lobbied, yes, to the government, and that because of this higher tax, we're not able to sell our products more. Although tax would be paid by the people, but if tax generally makes items more expensive. So they lobbied, and what government did? Government reduced this GST on the final fabric from 18% to 5%. 5% now. I'll take one hypothetical example. Obviously, it will be 100, tax would not be added further, I told you. And suppose 10 rupees is the value addition. 10 rupees suppose value addition. Overall, 110. 5% tax would be paid by the final buyer. Yes, 5%. And it is around 5 rupees 50 paisa. Yes or no? What happened here? Output tax amount is lesser than the input tax amount. Yes or no? But whatever you paid on the input, this is the government will have to refund you back. So 12 you need from government, but you are depositing how much to the government? 5 rupees 50 paisa. So government will say, take your 5 rupees 50 paisa, keep along with you, and take 6 rupees 50 paisa from government's pocket. Yes, to pay this entire input amount. Don't you think it is the ITC paid by the government, a part of it from its own pocket? It is called as inverted duty structure. Normal ITC, what happens? Government is not paying anything from its own pocket, adjusted. Zyada collect kiya, pehle wala adjust kar lo. But what is happening in this case? Collected low, lesser amount, but have to pay more. So ये जो जितना balance है, government is paying from its own pocket. Yes, called as inverted duty structure. Inverted duty structure. Additional को अपने pocket से pay कर दो. The additional 12 rupees in the input, output this. If input all should be refunded back 12. But how much you collected from the people? 5 rupees 50 paisa. So वो तो ठीक है, but you need refund of 12 to keep this one, and the remaining 6 rupees 50 paisa will be paid by the government. Right? Inverted duty structure. Yes. There are several places where government has the laws, but that we'll discuss. Please write the definition. Please write VAT. ITC definition लिखो, करते हैं ना? क्यों आप लोग भिड़ गए तुरंत? लिखो. It arises. Inverted duty structure. Inverted duty structure. Please write. It arises when the taxes on output, is lower than the taxes on inputs, creating an inverse accumulation of input tax credit, which in most cases has to be refunded back. Achha, why is I say most cases? Because when we study the composition scheme, there is no provision of ITC inside it. So that's why most cases, not in all the cases. So this one. Please, अब आप बोलो आप. पूछो आप पूछ लेना. हाँ कुछ losses हो रहा है. ये होगा. But what is the purpose behind it? The purpose behind it is to make the manufacturing cost lower, so the final goods prices would be lower, the impact of it lower, and there would be control and inflation in the economy. And there will be more and more, you can say that economic activities. Whenever the price is lower, obviously people will purchase those items more. Why you are resorted towards big billion days and grand Amazon sale days? Prices are on the lower side, isn't it? This is the reason. So this reduces, and obviously the tax revenue increases with tax into quantity. So quantity of buyers would be more, the tax revenue would be more. So we are thinking to make it as a simple exercise. That's why. Hanji. अरे वो गवर्नमेंट ने आपको टैक्स मिला ही नहीं है ना, तो साइड में रखी हुई है. गवर्नमेंट को कहां मिला टैक्स? 10 rupees input which you paid, that government is not keeping in the pocket. That is your money which government will refund back later on. वो आपका पैसा है जो गवर्नमेंट को रिफंड करना है ना. वो पहले मान लो पूरा 10 rupees गवर्नमेंट ने खर्च कर दिया, तो अभी गवर्नमेंट को कितना मिला? 5. तो बाकी जो रिमेनिंग होगा कैसे देगी, कहां से देगी? सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट गवर्नमेंट ने पहले जो खर्च किया है 12 rupees खर्च किया है, मिला 5 rupees, तो रिमेनिंग को पॉकेट से देना पड़ेगा ना. इधर पहले गवर्नमेंट ने सपोज 15 खर्च किया है, ओके, या केप्ट समवेयर एल्स, तो वो 10 उसी में से उठा के दे देंगे ना उसको. Yes, but at present what? That suppose you already done the expenditure of 12, but 5 rupees 50 paisa recovered. Remaining उसमें से ही नहीं, आपको देना पड़ेगा एक्स्ट्रा because you got less amount. So it is. You think that government सब coming from this person that coming only 5 rupees 50 paisa, but to you government will have total 12 refund कर देना, तो आपका कहां से हो गया? You are thinking 12 government का हो गया, वो आपका है ही नहीं ना. That is my money which I paid on the input. वो आप मुझे वापस करो. आप बोलोगे ठीक है, आपका वाला जो रखा है मैंने वापस कर दूंगा, but when you give us more than 12, but I am giving less than 12. So anyway, please. Less than, okay, output is less than input. Same example, inverted duty structure. Yes, and their government talks about government talks about that this inverted duty structure problem should be solved because regularly that government is paying a part whatever government collects from the state governments. 42% of it would be given to the states according to Finance Commission suggestion, except cess and surcharge. Number 1. Number 2, economic packages to several states. Number 3, grants to several states. Number 4, GST compensation to the states. Number 5 is inverted duty structure. So obviously there will be less money availability with the central government. So finance minister continuously says that we need to have a solution of it. Input this, output this, isn't it? So input this and output this. So the thing is that this entire how can it be managed? There are 2 ways. Reduce the input tax. So not possible because if you're reducing a tax on this, because this is input for me, but this is output for some final for someone else also. So if you're reducing from 18 to 5, all the items, all the consumers, they say reduce our also. Then the student also said that reduce our GST also. Why you reduce on the television, not on us? Solution is what? Raise it because the country's tax to GDP ratio is also less, isn't it? That one. So problem here is that this is, and last year government increased on this final fabric from 5 to 18%. But last year in Karol Bagh also a lot of demonstration that nahi chalegi, tanasahi nahi chalegi, like that. Autocratic rule, you have raised that. Now we are not selling our items in good quantity and all. Jantar mantar chalo kind of demonstration was there. Later on government reduced it again from 18 to 5. So inverted duty structure problem still persists, isn't it? Sometimes we think we see that दोनों government को गया, अरे 550 तो गया ही नहीं government को, isn't it? वो तो आपके हाथ में है. And that one. So anyway, we say that the input tax credit, we say that inverted duty structure. But why there is a need of the GST? There is a need of the GST because that there was a multiple tax structure under the VAT. We needed the GST because the VAT was not developing the entire nation into a national common market. GST because states were free to levy any kind of tax under the VAT. Although sin VAT 16, but not considering 32 rupees. Look at the Maharashtra. 32 rupees for Mumbai SL VAT. The rest Maharashtra 31. Since last you can say 7, 8, 9 months they are doing that. So same state, 2 different kind of SL VAT. Just that one. So free to do that, which they cannot do under the GST. Don't you think? Maximum 28. So 14 to the center and 14 to the state. And 28 be clear hai. It is on the luxurious items. It is on the petrol, diesel if they would come under it. It is on the sin goods. Sin goods means tobacco products. You can say cigarettes and if alcohol would come, isn't it? So it's quite clear. 28 नहीं लगेगा. बाकी पे क्या 5, 12, 18 है. 12 तो बहुत minimum पे है. 18 is the maximum amount. It gives 65% GST to the entire tax revenue, isn't it? Sin goods, so you understand? जिसको वो पाप बोलते हैं हिंदी में. इसको लेना पाप है. Yes, like alcohol and cigarettes and something. So anyway, but that we will see. So right, need of GST, please. Need of GST. Solution is raise the tax on the final output, not raise restore. It was already 18% earlier. This is the solution. That we have the less tax to GDP ratio. Raise the tax on the output. It was already there 18%. लोग करने देने से कैसे होगा? फिर डिमोनेटाइजेशन में लोग नहीं करने देते, इधर जीएसटी में लोग नहीं लगाने देते, isn't it? वो भी प्रॉब्लम होता. So see, whenever I'm telling you reforms are always actually giving some pains initially, but later on good results of that will come. It happens with us also. During childhood, parents reform the children, yes, but they do not like it. Yes, they say, अच्छा हम भी कभी बड़े होंगे. नहीं, but later on more reformed during that period, more discipline at this time. Less reform, less discipline. So result reform comes long term में आता है, isn't it? We were talking about that when the LPG was there, liberalization, privatization, globalization, and see that if because at that time the social media and this internet was not there, only Dilli Doordarshan and all, so less information on the people. But initial 2-3 years, people were angry on Manmohan Singh. Yes, because look at that. Suppose someone is going to beauty parlor. Suppose I'm telling you. Yes, क्यों नहीं जा सकते? Suppose क्या है? Yes, suppose someone is going there, and now 100 rupees bill. Now Manmohan Singh announced in the budget there is a 12% service tax. And now you're going to the next day, there is the bill of 112. You say 12 rupees कहाँ से हो गया? Say that Manmohan Singh लगा दिया, बड़ा नहीं है, isn't it? You say that इसके लिए क्या facility है? Because we do not see facility is the what infrastructure and country level. But we say वो आदमी कुछ अच्छा इसका फायदा है कुछ क्या? कुछ एक्स्ट्रा देंगे क्या? नहीं, बिना कुछ दिए 12 रुपए लगा दिया, गरीब आदमी है, पागल आदमी, isn't it? So at that time we saw, but we know that the result is something else. We need that. If you remember the class discussion, we need revenue receipt to do revenue expenditure. He did that. And I'm telling you that initial for 16, 79 items, increased to 75, further more than 100, then more than 200. Yes, why? Because we generally say tax revenue is tax into quantity. Tax revenue buoyancy would occur, jump in the revenue collection, when the quantity of taxpayers would increase. Isn't it? Quantity of taxpayers would increase, and that's why we say, look at the 2, 3, 4 days back, it was in the newspaper that Delhi's GST revenue 4,300 crore. Last year it was 3,800 crore. Before that pandemic 2,300 crore. Before that 1,800 crore. Continuously rise when more and more taxpayers would come, isn't it? That is the case, and that's why now he did that. Exactly, he did the right thing because he told, okay, on the existing items rates would not increase, but tax base would increase. Quantity now on services also, isn't it? So that one. So even if you ask from some people if related to the HMT, Hindustan Machine Tools, there was one company. They generally start abusing Manmohan Singh. Whenever you name that Manmohan Singh, third class आदमी है. Because HMT closed after the LPG policy. 94 almost closed. 95 final log. They were on strike till 2016 around. Yes, because they were demanding the remuneration and VRS and all. 16 तक strike करते हैं. मतलब उसका plant हमारे बैठते थे दिल्ली. and now the settlement was done, and that then they called it off. So the thing is that they blame that because of his policy now HMT closed, but I never say that. I say it is because of their inefficiency, isn't it? When the other watches came, that HMT was not as qualitative as others, and it was up to the customers. They started preferring other watches. HMT tractor was also there, started preferring other tractors. It's all about your inefficiency. You could not produce the efficient and the qualitative items. That's why people left that, isn't it? It happens with several companies. Don't you think? Mauser once leading in the CDs and all, but could not upgrade itself into the, you can say that pen drives and all, bankrupt. It's all about your updation and also all about your investment at the appropriate time. Tax increases. We say that wherever we have the tax revenue, so again, I'm repeating the same. We have the revenue receipts. When the revenue receipts are there, I discuss with you, we have the revenue expenditure also, and we have the capital expenditure also. So that money can be invested even for non-welfare based subsidy also. Can be invested, yes, in used, which is not doing any kind of welfare also. Can be used to fulfill the political ambitions also. Several examples are there, and can be used for road construction also. Can be used for airports also. Depends. What is the intention of the government? Again, I'm telling you the yesterday's announcement of the government of extension of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana more than 44,000 crore rupees. I cannot support it. 44,752 crore rupees. Yes, it was needed during pandemic because people were not working. But you have already national food security program. 35 kg to the needed people. 5 kg for what? So obviously, I told you that once subsidy introduced, difficult to withdraw. विड्रॉ करने पाएंगे तुरंत, अब खाना भी बंद कर दिया, शुरू हो जाएगा तुरंत. एंड एवरीवन हैज द पॉलिटिकल एम्बिशंस. कोई पार्टी करके सत्ता में तभी तो सर्वाइव करेंगे, तभी तो चलेंगे. ऐसा थोड़ी है कि राहुल गांधी भारत जोड़ो यात्रा कर रहा है, पार्टी टूटने लगती है, जहां जाते वहीं टूट जाती है, isn't it? So नहीं हैपेंड. भारत जोड़ो यात्रा तब तक राजस्थान गायब हो गया. Yes, so भारत जोड़ो पार्टी तोड़ो. But you like or not, isn't it? So depends that revenue you have where you are doing the expenditure. It's all about the political this one ambitions and intention of that political party which is at the center or states, isn't it? See please, see, you're right. I'm telling you why government is continuing, because government is considering it as a good, that we are helping the manufacturing sector. I always say that in a family, if Ambanis are good producers, then the family members are good consumers. Rickshaw puller is not good producer, family members are not good consumers. So we need to ensure welfare of consumer also and producer also. The purpose of ITC is that reduction of manufacturing cost helps them, reduction of final goods price help to the consumer. I mean, in between inverted duty structure is coming. It is because of some false announcement by the governments कि वो जो output पे tax था reduce it. Yes, because of that inverted duty structure problem is arising. But it is not the purpose of ITC. Purpose of ITC what? Reduce the manufacturing cost, reduce the prices of final goods. But sometimes when the output is lesser than this one, I know what kind of situation occurs. The inverted duty structure is that one. They say it is ITC only, but it is happening. We need to have a solution of it. But doesn't mean that ITC itself is bad. Government is helping the manufacturers and also the customers through it. No, it's not bad effect, but we say that yes, taking the additional money from the government, and that's why there's a continuous discussion about that. That there's a need of a solution of it. Yes, why earlier 18? Why not scrap it? Why again introduce? Why scrap it again? Why reduce it to 5? So there should be one uniformity in the policy making. Obviously, whenever the rate would increase, no one would like that. So then reduce everywhere. Service tax on the coaching classes were 12%, increase to 18. Then if students would lobby, you go to the Jantar Mantar, and again then reduce it to 12 also. Then reduce everywhere. It's not like that. Once you have taken that decision, we believe that the leaders are the people representative. Okay, the long term will see that benefits or not. That we'll see. And if not, then at 5 years we'll get the opportunity to replace that government, isn't it? It happens. So anyway, now right, need of GST. Need of GST. Need of GST. But isn't it a burden for the poor? कौन सा burden poor है? Poor के item में तो GST लगता ही नहीं. 0% GST there is. 0% GST and basic items are under 5%. Okay, need of GST. Please write despite having the VAT. Despite. अच्छा अभी बता दूंगा. अभी please write. Despite having the VAT. बड़ा लेट आपको याद आया. समझ गया मैं. So despite having the VAT, yes, people were paying several other taxes. Along with the VAT. Several other taxes along with the VAT, because there was lack of proper coordination between central and state governments. Full stop. Right? Both were levying taxes separately. Separately. That's why it was realized that there was a need of one national level VAT. Which would integrate all the indirect taxes. Full stop. On that basis, GST was introduced in July 2017. Yes, please. Your question. जो म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन म्युनिसिपैलिटी जो होते हैं उनके नॉर्थ दिल्ली सब साउथ में जाओ तो उसके बाउंड्री वहां पे टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. हाँ, वो म्युनिसिपैलिटी की बाउंड्री पे, वो जो एंट्री टैक्स स्टेट के बाउंड्री पे होता है वो एंट्री टैक्स है. म्युनिसिपैलिटी और म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन की बाउंड्री पे दैट इज कॉल्ड एज ऑक्ट्रॉय ड्यूटी. महाराष्ट्र इट इज कॉल्ड एज लोकल बॉडी टैक्स. म्युनिसिपैलिटी म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन दे वर्क एट द लोकल लेवल इज लोकल बॉडी टैक्स अनदर नेम. ये साइड वाला कैसे हटेगा? होम पे. अच्छा तो भाग्य बड़ा डरावना है. Does every state collect SL VAT through which? No. Only that state where they are sold. In between, in the state boundaries, entry tax and this authority collected by those states. So a national level VAT, dual structure CGST, SGST, IGST, destination based, e-way bill, GST compensation fund, composition scheme, zero rated status, 5, 12, 18, 28, RNR, and AA. ITC, inverted duty structure, GST council. Okay. See, when we say a national level VAT, we say that yes, with the principle one nation, one tax. Yes, why? Because all the goods and services, they are already categorized inside the tax. Which one would come under 5%, which one is come under 12, 18 and all. There is a software, moment you write that in the computer, this marker, automatically that tax rate would be applied. If someone is doing manually, the list is there, he cannot write 5% tax, he cannot write 12. If he's doing that, obviously, that violation, and you can say that severe punishment for it. So when we say that, okay, so national level VAT. Now we have the CGST and SGST. See, UTGST in the case of union territories. When we say that a state, you consider a state, not the union territories there. So when the goods and services produced and consumed in the same state or union territories, then CGST and SGST would be levied. But when goods and services produced in one state while consumed in another, for example, produced in Delhi while consumed in Madhya Pradesh, then IGST would be collected. There's a GST council under which the CBIC chairman is also there, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Custom. Revenue Secretary is also a member of it. So collected, and later on that IGST would be divided between CGST and SGST. For example, suppose 100 rupees item now produced in Delhi, sold in Madhya Pradesh, then IGST of 18%, for example, on it. So 18 rupees collected, it will be 118. Now this 18 rupees would be divided in the form of 9 rupees CGST, central government, and the next 9 rupees to the SGST or UTGST, depend to the state. So 18 collected, but 9 to this and 9 to state. Which state you always understand, you need to understand always to the consumer state. In the GST, that the SGST or UTGST amount always shared with consumer state, and that's why the name is what? Destination based, consumer state. But the producer state, they complained that this will be a loss to us. So government will know when the producer states they produce items, first they produce for themselves. So already the SGST they are collecting. And even their producer states they have money, they purchase the items from the other states also, so further getting the SGST. And if there will be any loss, we'll compensate them. Yes, that one for the next 5 years. But if the tax, the SGST or UTGST amount would be shared with the producer states, then that is called as origin based. But in India, GST is not origin based. It is what? So consumer states or Indian territories would get the share of the SGST or UTGST. So that one. Okay. IGST is also levied on the imported items, but that I will tell you when I will teach you this zero rated status. So better we should write about this. Yes, please. Write dual structure and write something about it. Dual structure. Yes. Right. When goods and services produced and consumed in the same state, when goods and services produced and consumed in the same state. See, every time when I say state, please consider Indian territory also if that is. Yes, state. Then CGST and SGST. Then CGST and SGST would be levied. Would be levied. Next point. Next paragraph. But if goods and services produced in one state, and consumed in another, yes, then IGST would be collected, would be levied. Then IGST would be levied. And further, divided in equal amounts in the forms of CGST and SGST. The forms of CGST and SGST. Yes, next point, right, or next paragraph. SGST oblique UTGST. SGST oblique UTGST. Amount is shared with consumer state. Amount is shared with consumer state. Oblique union territory. Okay. I just see. I will make people first understand this. You do one thing. Write zero rated status first, and then discussion will do. Then for the IGST rule we'll discuss. Right, zero rated status. Zero rated status. When goods are manufactured in organized sector and final goods gets consumer gets organized sector, then whatever the tax, that tax they need to pay. Final goods पे ही तो tax लगता है, वो pay करना पड़ेगा consumer को. अगर tax net में आता है तो there is zero GST also. Depends किस rate में आता है. Zero rated status. Please understand that on the exportable items there is no GST. To make them cheaper outside, because 100 rupees item 28% tax, it will be 128 outside. 100 rupees item zero tax, obviously cheaper. To make India's exportable items more competitive globally. But if the exporters have paid GST on the input, obviously खरीदा हुआ input पे तो दिया होगा. So that would be refunded back by the government from its own pocket. So in this process, entire export process is GST free, called as zero. GST zero rated status. That one, zero rated status, right? Government does not levy GST. Government does not levy GST on the exportable items. On the exportable items, yes. But exporters are eligible for ITC. Exporters are eligible for ITC. Since the entire export process is GST free, export process is GST free, it is called as zero rated status. Zero rated. Change the paragraph. One line more. Although IGST is levied on imported items. Although IGST is levied on imported items. On imported items. So what is the way to levy it? Please understand. Suppose 100 rupees item imported from outside. There is a basic custom duty. Custom duty at the boundary of the country. Basic custom duty. Suppose 10%. So it means 10 rupees would be the basic custom duty. 10% of it. So total is what? 110. On this entire 110, there is a IGST. Yes, that one. Separately. So on IGST on the entire 110. Yes, that one. So anyway, this is. But now, please write RNR, revenue neutral rate, and GST compensation fund. Right subheading. Revenue RNR, revenue neutral rate. revenue neutral rate, and GST compensation fund. And GST compensation fund. Revenue neutral rate and GST compensation fund. Please understand this entire. I'm also actually I will also discuss one current affairs related to this, published in 2021, and it was in the editorial of Mint. Entire discussion was there. That also I will discuss. I will make you write that one also, because directly related to this RNR and GST compensation fund. Understand this first. Before the GST implementation, when it was before its introduction, state suggested before 2007, before 2017, because July 2017 it was introduced. So state suggested that the GST rate should be 27%. GST should be introduced with a single rate of 27%. There should not be multiple rates. Don't you think? Multiple rates we have 5, 8, 12, 28. So it should not be with the multiple rates. It should be with a single rate of 27%, because we are levying taxes on several items as high as 48%. So if it would be the entire items would come under the GST, it is 28, and 28 means states are levying to 48. In 2018, even states will get only 14. So how can you manage the resources? Yes, the revenues and all. We have suppose we have our own expenditures. Then central government will know we cannot do this. This is unjustifiable. How? Luxury cars 27% and basic food items 27%. Not acceptable. So we'll keep it as a multiple rate. But the central government is assuring the states that considering 2016 as a base, 16 as a base, whatever the revenue loss to the states, the entire revenue loss would be compensated to the states for the next 5 years with 14% increment. Next 5 years means 2017 to 2022. Yes, and July 2017 to 2022 and June 2022, and with 14% increment. Understand this. Suppose X state 2016 tax revenue was 10,000 crore. Suppose 10,000 crore means it was in the forms of VAT, because VAT replaced GST. After right duty, you can say that entry tax, whatever tax subsumed inside the GST, 10,000 crore. After the GST, July 2017, in 17, it was 9,500 crore. Don't you think there is a loss of 500 crore? Yes, that will be compensated. Yes, so it will be made as a 10,000 crore, and then there will be 14% increment into it also given by the central government to the states, because states will say that the next year that there will be increment also, that we will do that for the next 5 years, with the hope we know that tax revenue is taxed into quantity. First year the quantity of taxpayers would be less, quantity of taxpayers would increase, and obviously your tax revenue would be as such after 5 years that you would be in a revenue surplus. Forget about the deficit, isn't it? That we will do that. Yes. Okay. So and the GST compensation fund would facilitate this refund to the states. But we all know that government has less funds, and government remains in deficit already, fiscal deficit. Now the government promised this additional tax revenue. So for that, government introduced GST compensation cess. GST compensation cess to fund money for this GST compensation fund, and the cess time period was also 17 to 2022, and fund cut to 17 to 2020. Okay, this one. But last year, government realized that because of the pandemic, the GST compensation cess collection was less. We could not get the required money, so extended compensation cess time period till 2026, 17 to now 2026. But GST compensation fund time period remains same. Fund to 2022 तक ही मिलेगा, but उसके लिए since entire fund not given till date, even today also, for that fund we will collect till 2026. Yes, that one. Why fund collected? Take that discussion. I'm discussing that, which was discussed in editorial of Mint. Yes, last year, 2021, state governments presented a figure of 2.35 lakh crore rupees as the compensation amount demand from the center. Told okay, compensation do, you told us. Central told no. This entire 2.35 lakh crore rupees deficit revenue with the states is not because of GST implementation. 97,000 crore rupees is because revenue deficit is because of GST implementation, and the rest is because of pandemic. So if the GST would not have been here, still there was a pandemic, still there could be a revenue loss. So the GST compensation fund is meant to compensate the states for the revenue deficit occurred due to the GST implementation. So this one we are ready to pay, not this. Later on, government corrected it. 97,000 crore will be made as 1.10 lakh crore rupees. Government told we will compensate it, but this remaining will not compensate it because it is related to pandemic, and the pandemic money can be disaster management fund and something, but not from the GST compensation fund. GST compensation. So whatever revenue loss occurred due to GST implementation would be refunded back to you from the GST compensation, not for any other work. This is the revenue loss because of other work. So अगर VAT भी रहता तभी pandemic होता, तभी revenue loss होता, isn't it? Even on the petrol and diesel there is a revenue loss because they are still under the VAT. But government told that we have only 67,000 crore rupees. Although even payment of this, even that money is not with the government, and that's why GST compensation cess time period further extended. We have only 67,000 crore rupees, but the payment amount is more. You do one thing. You borrow this remaining 67,000 crore rupees, so center would distribute among the states. Then whatever the shortage amount with you, you present your figure, and that will be ratified under GST Council. And then you borrow that money from the market and RBI. Again, I repeat, you borrow that money from the market and RBI. Yes, but that will not be reflected into your debt account. The entire principal and interest would be paid by the central government. Why? Because at present government does not have the money, but government has already extended the GST compensation cess time period. You will take the loan for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, something. So obviously in those months, government will have the additional fund through GST compensation cess, and that would be returned back to the RBI or market forces, isn't it? That one. Okay, agreed. Told. इसका भी कुछ करो. बोला नहीं है नहीं तो कैसे करेंगे इसका? But obviously you know that the central government party is also ruling several states. They also requested, told okay, borrow this money also from the market and RBI, but central government will pay only the principal of it. States will have to pay the interest of it, isn't it? Done. So we'll write that one also because of current discussion. So that. So please write about the RNR, revenue neutral rate, and heading you have written RNR and GST compensation fund. Yes, please write. Before GST introduction, before the introduction of GST, state government suggested that GST should be introduced. With a single rate of 27%. So that the entire prospective future revenue loss of the states would be neutralized. would be neutralized. Yes, full stop, right? Although central government did not accept this proposal, but suggested state governments to borrow GST related revenue deficit amount. Sorry, प्लीज एक सेंटेंस लिखना, ये तो बाद में लिखना था. स्टेट वुड बी न्यूट्रलाइज. अच्छा, ये ऑल्दो के बाद थोड़ा प्लीज वन लाइन ऐड करना है. ऑल्दो से वो हटा दो या वन लाइन ऐड करो. हाँ, यस, वो लास्ट वाला जो था ना, न्यूट्रलाइज्ड. यस, हाँ, सो न्यूट्रलाइज्ड एंड ऑल्दो द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट प्रपोजल, हाँ, डिड नॉट एक्सेप्ट द प्रपोजल, बट डिड नॉट एक्सेप्ट द प्रपोजल. उसके आगे लिखना, बट assured the state governments did not accept the proposal after that, but assured the state governments did not accept the proposal, but assured the state governments that their entire prospective future revenue loss would be compensated by the central government for the next 5 years. Right, in 5 years bracket, 2017 to 2022, along with 14% increment, अब now write that discussion. Okay, वो थोड़ा बीच में आ गया था. Change the paragraph, right? In 2021, state governments presented a figure of 2.35 lakh crore rupees. As a revenue compensation demand from the central government. Out of which 1.10 lakh crore rupees, revenue shortage was due to GST implementation, and the remaining 1.25 lakh crore rupees, was the revenue shortage due to pandemic. Stop. Right, further. Central government suggested state governments. Now, after full stop के बाद further, central government suggested state governments to borrow GST related to borrow GST related deficit amount from market or RBI. But that would not be reflected into states debt account, DEBT, debt account, states debt account. The entire principal and interest would be paid by central government in the future. Entire principal along with the interest would be paid by central government in the future. Full stop. Change the paragraph. Central government also allowed state governments to borrow pandemic related deficit amount also from the market, for which central government will pay the principal, but the states will have to pay the interest. States, isn't it? States will have to pay the interest. So it's quite clear what's compensation and all. Now we say that we have done this discussion, we have done destination based, and then GST compensation, then zero rated status, then RNR. Okay, write about the e-way bill. So heading, then understand, and you'll write e-way bill. Understand this. Actually, we see that when someone is carrying items, generally traders or businessmen, from one place to another, we always see that the state boundaries and so many places, policemen, they always disturb them. Overloading hai. Yes, open those box, check the items. There are more items inside it, and we want to check that the items are legal or illegal and what. Only to get some additional money, isn't it? ऐसा करते हैं majority of the policemen. It's not about all. Yes, always when I say there is a star, and a star means TNC apply. So please, someone if after the class मत बोलना कि मेरे घर के लोग पुलिस में हैं, वो ऐसे नहीं है. So यहाँ है star में TNC apply, उनके लिए है. But जो corruption करते हैं उनके लिए प्रॉब्लम है. So actually now we have the logistic policy, isn't it? We say that we always talk about. I discussed about the transportation, one day coverage of the trucks, 200 to 300 kilometers, worsening the quality of perishable items and all. So we want to have a seamless transportation of those items. So for that, if you have the items valued 50,000 rupees or more, there are government designated places to go. They will check the items within few minutes, and then you can generate e-way bill. of your items that can be generated through GST portal, even generated through GST app, generated through, even through SMS. And you carry your items from anywhere in the country, and no one will disturb you. Because along with that, there is one toll-free number also. Someone is disturbing you, and obviously you can complain there. So to further ensure efficient supply chain management, e-way bill. You see that nowadays, at last day, big billion days, grand Amazon sale days, kuch hai. Suppose you are purchasing item, you're valued more than 50,000 or more. Suppose purchasing on Apple Mobile, and the seller is bringing that one from another state. Suppose Andhra Pradesh. Obviously, the value is more than 50,000. So that will generate e-way bill for your mobile also and several other items also valued. Yeah, 50 ho gaya, baki to ho gaya. So that particular supplier which would supply that mobile to you would generate e-way bill, and the information would also come to you. If purchasing through that online and this one, why? Because written that against your name, someone has generated the e-way bill. Yes, so that you will also get the information. That there should not be any wrong billing. Might be someone will do wrong billing on your name. So that is. So if traders, businessmen, they are moving the items valued 50,000 or more from one place to another, they need to generate the e-way bill, and can be generated easily even through the SMS, GST portal, GST app. That is. Earlier it was for the interstate movement, but now even intrastate also. मतलब पहले एक स्टेट से दूसरे पे क्लियर होता था, अंदर भी है. अंदर में थोड़ा सा एक नॉर्मल सा है कि 10 किलोमीटर की डिस्टेंस के लिए जरूरत नहीं है. Beyond that, you will have to generate that. Okay, that is. So right, e-way bill. It is an electronic document. It is an electronic document generated on the GST portal. GST portal. GST portal, GST app, or even through SMS, and even through SMS. Even through SMS. Evidencing and ING. Evidencing movement of goods. Evidencing movement of goods from one place to another. Evidencing movement of goods from one place to another. Movement of goods from one place to another. Yes. e-way bill. Okay. So composition scheme. 50,000 and more. उसी के लिए छोटे मोटे लिए तो ठीक है. So 50,000 plus. हाँ, within the state. हाँ, वो है. क्या आप कुछ नहीं समझ रहा है? क्या फाइनल इनवॉइस होता है? मतलब इनवॉइस वो क्यों जनरेट करेगा? वो तो आपको वो उसने ई-वे बिल कर लिया कितना सामान लेके जा रहे हैं. अब जो जाएगा वो आपको बेचेगा तो फाइनल इनवॉइस जनरेट करेगा. यस, दैट वन. आपको एक तो बिल बनाना है ना, दैट इज बिल. दैट इज वो बिल है. तो दैट इज व्हेन वी से इनवॉइस, इट इज द सेल आइटम प्लस जीएसटी. वो होगा. सो वो तो आप करोगे, आप खरीदोगे जब तो आपको मिलेगा. यू पे दैट प्राइस आल्सो एंड पे द जीएसटी आल्सो. उसका प्राइस पे करो, जीएसटी करो, तो बिल है कितने का सामान ले जा रहे हैं. एनीवे, Shishir is asking, sir, why didn't the state government itself borrowed? Why didn't state government itself borrow and not disturbed rather than to ask states to borrow? Why didn't the state government itself borrow? Central government side आपका मतलब था. अरे स्टेट्स बोरो करेंगे तो अपना अकाउंट रखेंगे कि मैंने इतना बोरो किया है. Yes, Shishir, अब state government will do. It's quite easy to do the accounting of it. Central government borrow करके किसको कितना देना है, again they will demand from the states. Better state ही कर ले वो. States have their own borrowing tools. उनके पास अपना government securities होता है, तो उसको करके वो borrow कर सकते हैं. Yes, and they have, it's quite easy to do the accounting. मेरा इतना है, मेरा इतना इतना, isn't it? Central government might be favoritism ही नहीं रहेगा कि कुछ स्टेट्स को ज्यादा दे दिया, कुछ को कम दे दिया. ठीक है, अब आप फोन उठा लो तब फिर मैं पढ़ता. अच्छा नहीं, ठीक. हाँ, थोड़ा ऐसा बोलो, आज लगता है आप खाली कमाए हो. RBI stand. So why you are asking those things which are not discussed in the class? आपको कोई बोल रहा है क्या पूछने के लिए? I think that you are on call on something. You are asking those things which we are not discussing in the class. You can ask, no issue, but at least ask something which is happening in the class. That opportunity will not get in the future. That discussing something else, asking something else. नहीं है, आपको बता सकता हूँ. दूसरे बच्चों को क्या समझ में आएगा बताओ? चल रहा है कुछ, मान लो I'm not telling that आपका क्वेश्चन इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, लेकिन आप यहाँ से नहीं पूछना चाहिए. आप वो पूछ रहे हो जो ये भी क्लास में नहीं चल रहा है. नहीं, मतलब मुझे लगता है क्या दिया है, कुछ टेस्ट करो तो सर आता है कि नहीं, मतलब it might be that one. मैं आपको क्लास में बता दूंगा. Ask those entire questions which are not related there. After the class I will tell you. Don't worry. Yes, ask as many as question from this. I will clarify that. क्योंकि क्लास का डिस्कशन से everyone should be benefited. Yes. So, अच्छा see composition scheme, and please understand, I told you that GST, that final consumer actually does what? That pays the tax. In the Wajiram kind of system, Wajiram is not paying the tax. See that in this overall, why Wajiram? Because to promote the Wajiram now, that whatever tax paid by the Wajiram on the input would be refunded back. Now understand composition scheme we are discussing. Composition scheme, and suppose there is one fruit juice seller, and the fruit juice seller turnover is around suppose 5 lakh rupees yearly, and that fruit juice seller is selling. That's quite complex to pay the GST for us, because we do whole day hard work till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We carry those fruits and all from the different parts of the state, and then after 2 o'clock that we start selling it and all. We do not have a time to engage ourselves for 4-5 days to pay this GST. Just collect the papers and do that. And GST actually return filing every month. So 1 month 12 GST in a year, one month, and one annual GST 13. So it's quite complex. Yes. So give some relaxation to us. Government introduced composition scheme for the small business unit. If you are in the manufacturing sector or you have the trade business, traders, if your annual turnover is up to 1.5 crore, initial 75, then 1.25, then 1.5 increased, 1.5 crore, you can opt for composition scheme. Yes, that one. Instead of monthly GST return filing, you can do it on a quarterly basis. Relaxation हो गया, only 4 in a year and 1 annual. So instead of 13, now 5. Relaxation. Further relaxation. That you don't need to collect GST from the customers. You only need to issue sell bill. 30 rupees the juice hai, 30 rupees only. Don't collect GST from them. Don't you think it will increase the business of that juice seller further? Because 30 rupees plus 18% GST into it. Obviously, would increase the price of it. And less price, tax zero. Obviously, less price. So turnover this, now the turnover would increase further. Yes or no? And so you don't need to collect the GST from the people. Still, you are legal, and you are part of formal economy. And there are several advantages attached to being part of formal economy. You will only quote your GST number. Within 1 hour, you'll get a loan from the banks. 59 minutes loan.com. There's a portal. Yes, sanction would be there. Same day, अगले दिन आपको loan मिल जाएगा, but sanctioning would be there. formal economy, to take the loan from any bank and you can start your different business, another venture, and save in a better way. Yes, that one easily can increase your overall investment. So, okay, that don't issue the invoice. When you say invoice, sell amount, selling amount plus tax. Issue only sell bill. That 30 rupees, this juice I am selling. Yes, that one. You're not collecting. Obviously, the final goods price would be cheaper, more selling of it. Now, this was your turnover 5. It may go to 10. It may go to 15. And since there is no GST collection from your place, you pay the GST. And how much? 1% of the turnover. Turnover means price into quantity. And total quantity is total revenue. So profit is total revenue minus total cost. Isn't it? So iska 1% pay the GST. You pay that. I told you that generally GST paid by the final consumer, except composition scheme. In the composition scheme, final consumer does not pay that GST, but the manufacturer or trader himself is paying that 1%. So आपका ये business था increased, pay 1% only of the entire turnover and be relaxed for the next 3 months. And even the GST return filing would be quite easy. For the Vajiram kind of setup, although Vajiram is not paying the GST, but Vajiram need to hire one CA for that. Several other staffs. CA salary every month, another expenditure every month, lot of complexion because collected this, deposit to the that one, then teachers, then their GST invoice and different. It needs a lot of hard work. But for you, since you're not collecting GST from the people, only you show that this is the selling amount. Suppose in a month, 1,000 glass juice I sold, 1,000 to 330. That's it. GST to collect नहीं करना है ना. So where is the question of returning it back? Without even the CA, you can easily manage. ये sell bill था, ये हो गया, इतने का था. Yes, that one. So easy for you, less complex, no problem at all in the overall business. Yes, you pay that additional 1%. Yes, that one, and in the form of GST. So see, GST is not generated from your place. Why Vajiram not collected? Because GST generated from this place by the customers, but there it is not generated from the customers. You pay that. Since you are not collecting the GST from the customers, so you're not eligible for ITC. Input tax credit would also be not given to you. तो क्या हो गया? Fruit juice है, मशीन खरीदा हुआ जापानीज मशीन 10-15 हजार में 20 हजार 1-2,000 उस पे इनपुट टैक्स होगा और क्या होगा? So it is the one time settlement only, but you are getting the long term benefit, isn't it? One time settlement नहीं मिलेगा आपको ITC, long term benefit. Several small units they already opted for this GST compensation scheme. I'm giving another example. It is 1% for manufacturers, traders, 5% for restaurants not serving alcohol. I will make you right. 6% for service providers, other service providers. Take the example. There is X institute and there is Y institute. Two institutes. Yeah, they can opt for compensation scheme. X annual turnover is 60 lakh. It cannot go for the compensation scheme because कितना चाहिए सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के लिए 50 up to 50. सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के लिए तो 50 चाहिए, मैन्युफैक्चरर एंड ट्रेडर्स के लिए 1.5. Compensation scheme up to 50 for service providers. Now X has more than 50, it cannot opt for compensation scheme. Y, the annual turnover is 5 lakh. It can opt for compensation scheme. Now, consider both the institutes quality same. Consider that one quality same, but this institute taking 1 lakh rupees fee, then it is taking 1,18,000 from the students. This institute opted for the compensation scheme. It will not collect GST from the students, so the course is offered at what price? Don't you think more and more students would come here? Yes, if we are considering the quality same, yes, same. Yes, more students would come, and this 5 lakh turnover would become 7 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh, and something, isn't it? So that one. So you do one thing that from of the total turnover, pay 6% to the government. For other services, it is like I told you 6% to the government. So आपका 5 may become 50 because your product is less expensive, isn't it? 1.18 lakh and this. Obviously the competition में अगल-बगल है और similar kind of quality है, तो more and more prefer 5 would become 7, 8, 10 and something. उसका आपको 6% देने में कोई issue होना ही नहीं चाहिए, isn't it? And you are relaxed for the 3 months, entire year only 5 GST. Apart from that not that kind of collect the whatever collected GST return back to the GST authorities and all. ये है ही नहीं कि आप GST collect कर ही नहीं रहे. You're not collecting that. So composition scheme is helping both are promoting both kind of businesses. In the Vajiram kind of setup, why not GST collected to promote this kind of business? Why? And like that other manufacturing which are beyond 1.5 or service providers beyond 50. It's because a lot of GST generated from this place. Yes, and because of that promotion, not collection. Why small businesses? When the GST, they would not collect the GST from the customers, their business would also grow. So that is promoting self-employment. This is promoting other employment, isn't it? Here also GST collection. Vajiram is not paying, but from the customers. They are not from the customers, but the person who is getting employed and even empowered himself to the higher increment into the turnover, isn't it that way? So both to promote both, and both means one this kind of business where the overall turnover is more than the permissible limit to be part of competition scheme. Another to promote that one, self-employment, to make the people or the traders or the business unit part of formal economy. Yes, क्योंकि आप कह रहे हो सर वो बिल तो दिया नहीं, GST illegal है नहीं, competition scheme में है, but self bill नहीं देता तो गड़बड़ है. Competition scheme में है and still not collecting that, and now the entire those kind of streets vendors and all they can become the part of formal economy. This is one of the ways to make them part of formal economy, isn't it that one? So this is the GST without composition scheme, Vajiram. Another institute, yes, GST with composition scheme if the turnover is less than up to 50 lakh, isn't it? That is to promote both the activities, one collected from the service provider itself, and another not collected from the service provider, isn't it? ये दो अलग-अलग comparison है, different. These are the reasons behind the introduction of both the schemes. Right, composition scheme, please. It is opted, or it can be opted. It can be opted by those manufacturers, or traders whose annual turnover, is up to 1.5 crore. Up to 1.5 crore crore, and by those service providers whose annual turnover is up to 50 lakh. Annual turnover is up to 50 lakh. Change the paragraph. On the manufacturers, GST is levied at the rate of 1% on their turnover, while on the traders, 1% GST would be levied on profitable turnover. On profitable turnover. Just see, total revenue, suppose 1 crore, 80 lakh, 20 lakh. This is profitable turnover actually. Profit. Yes, that one. Full stop, right? Restaurants not serving alcohol. Full stop and further. Restaurants not serving alcohol. Restaurants not serving alcohol would pay GST at the rate of 5% on their turnover, while other service providers would pay GST at the rate of 6% on their turnover. Rate of 6% on their turnover. Rate of change the paragraph. Yes. Under it, beneficiaries. This can opt for quarterly GST return filing. Can opt for quarterly GST return filing. Can opt for quarterly GST return filing, which would infuse ease of doing business in the internal trade. Which would infuse ease of doing business in the internal trade. In the internal trade. First of all, although beneficiaries of the scheme are not eligible for ITC benefit. Are not eligible for ITC benefit. Are not eligible for ITC benefit. Eligible for ITC benefit. Next, right? National Anti-Profiteering Authority. National Anti-Profiteering Authority. NAA आप लिखो आगे, छोड़ो पीछे. NAA. National Anti-Profiteering Authority. Yes. In between, there is a question of Ashish Agarwal. The online mobile we get from shops in blacks, more amounts. How can this be checked? This can only be checked through you. Isn't it? There was advertisement on television, Jago Grahak Jago. So now you demand the bill. If you are not demanding, you're also promoting this black market and all. Because we always say without participation of the people, the corruption cannot be uprooted. So आपको थोड़ा उसमें करना पड़ेगा. So मैं बोलूंगा जागो ग्राहक जागो. Yes, and demand the bill. Bill demand करना पड़ेगा. अच्छा, National Anti-Profiteering Authority. Actually, on the restaurant, earlier the tax was 18%. Later on, government reduced to 5%. But people complain that we are still paying the same tax, same price of the product. What I paid 10 days ago, now that government announced that there's a reduction of tax from 18 to 5%, still I'm paying the same amount. Means that it was 100, suppose 18% tax, it means I was paying 118. At present also I'm paying 118. So where is the reduction? So actually, we know that the tax is so software driven. Once you write that item, automatically the tax will be applied. Or manually you cannot write more taxes. What they did, they increased the price of this item in such a way that it appeared only 5% of it. Yes, its percentage is not amount. 5% of it, and it appeared 118. Then government formed National Anti-Profiteering Authority. Anti-profiteering. A profit बना रहे हैं ना इससे करके. So complain to us, and we'll send the notices to those restaurant owners. And they replied, some restaurant owners replied, actually the price of raw materials increased. That's why we increased that one. Well, okay, you reply us. That moment, the day we reduced the tax on that item, same day your raw material price also increased. ऐसा तो coincidence होता नहीं है, isn't it? So, and because you have the raw material invoice also, you have paid the GST there also, you show us that one. If correct, no issue. If not, then penalty and all. So it will ensure the benefit of reduction in tax rates to the customers, NAA, that you will get that. Apart from that, it will also ensure timely refund of ITC, input tax credit, isn't it, that one? So right, NAA, National Anti-Profiteering Authority, it was constituted by the central government, to analyze whether the ITC credits availed by any registered person, credits availed, AVAILED, availed by any registered person, or the reduction in tax is passed on to the consumer, and he, she, women empowerment, yes, is protected from random price increase, for self-interest, in the name of GST, isn't it? So now, still there are 7 items which are not under the GST. I think GST Council, this we have done entire discussion. Yes. So I told you that 5 petroleum products, then alcohol for human consumption, and electricity not under the GST. Right? Items still under the VAT. Right? 5 petroleum products. Right, one by one. First, crude oil. Second, petrol. Although there is a technical name of it, which is written in the GST, if you see the portal. Petrol, another technical name written, motor spirit. उसकी आत्मा है वो, उसी से चल रहा है. Motor spirit. Next one, right? Diesel. Third one is diesel. अच्छा, another technical name of this diesel, because not biodiesel. Biodiesel is already inside the GST. 12% लगता है उसमें. 5% अगर blending के लिए सप्लाई करते हैं. तो इस this is diesel, right in bracket, high speed diesel. नॉर्मली जो बसों इन सब में यूज होता है, हाई स्पीड डीजल। नेक्स्ट वन एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल, एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल, प्लेन में एविएशन टर्बाइन फ्यूल। नेक्स्ट नेचुरल गैस। सिक्स्थ वन अल्कोहल फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन, उस पर तो लगना भी नहीं चाहिए। हाँ, समवेयर 48-60% बाय सम स्टेट्स, दैट विल कमांड द जीएसटी 28 रहेगा, तो नहीं वो खुश हो जाएंगे क्या गवर्नमेंट है। सो अल्कोहल फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन। एंड द लास्ट वन इज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी। अच्छा, if you see the check the PT questions, they ask that which tax subsumed inside the GST. So better we should write yes, taxes subsumed inside the GST. Subheading, taxes subsumed inside the GST. Subsumed inside the GST. Write one by one. SINVAT, 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 Central Value Added Tax. SINVAT को ऐसे देखकर लगता है गुनाह कर दिया बोल। SINVAT है। नेक्स्ट वन SL VAT, स्टेट लेवल VAT. Third one service tax. Next additional excise duty. Additional excise duty. Achha, see, if you remember additional excise duty, it was on this one, windfall tax. It was called a special additional excise duty. Next one, right? Additional duty of customs. Additional duty of customs. Additional duty of customs. Another name of it, right in bracket, countervailing duty. Countervailing duty. Countervailing duty. Next one, special additional duty of customs. Countervailing duty. Next one, a special additional duty of customs. Achha, in the newspaper discussion, you see the very popular countervailing duty name CVD, special additional duty of customs, SAD. CVD, SAD in that country, this country, written like that. CVD is countervailing duty, SAD is what? Special additional duty of customs. Next, right, luxury tax, luxury tax, luxury tax. And some high-end items, there was purchase tax also, right? Purchase tax, purchase tax. Then entertainment tax, entertainment tax, entertainment tax. Next one, that one, entry tax, your state boundary, entry tax, entry tax. Right in bracket, clarification key on the state boundaries, on the state boundaries. Next one, after right duty. After right duty. After right duty. Right in bracket on municipalities oblique municipal corporation boundaries. On municipalities oblique municipal corporation boundaries. Next one, tax on lottery and gambling. Tax on lottery and gambling. Tax on lottery and gambling. Isn't it? Don't you think this entire subsumed inside the GST? Once GST is levied, these taxes would not be levied. Yes, that one. So this one now, before going to the merits and demerits, still we have 5-7 minutes. GST council we can do. Yes, GST council. Put that heading. हाँ, बताओ जोर से बोलो। कल भी क्लास है मेरे साथ, इसीलिए तो कल मेरे इवेंट्स करेंगे। मैं आज ही मेरे इवेंट्स करने वाला था। सो हाँ प्लीज, वी आर नॉट, इसीलिए जीएसटी काउंसिल पता चलेगा। अभी जीएसटी काउंसिल आपको आंसर मिल जाएगा। कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स नहीं, कंपोजिशन स्कीम कॉर्पोरेट होगा, कंपनी रजिस्टर्ड होगा तब ना, वो डायरेक्ट टैक्स है। ये तो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स, वो डायरेक्ट टैक्स है। तो एक आदमी तो डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्ट दोनों देता है। कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स टोटल रेवेन्यू माइनस टोटल कॉस्ट, जो प्रॉफिट है उस पे देगा। तो नहीं, अगर कंपनी एक्ट नहीं है तो प्रॉफिट इनकम है, इनकम टैक्स देगा वो, और कंपनी में रजिस्टर्ड हो देगा। डिपेंड्स अपॉन जो कंपनी है कि नहीं। जूस वाला जरूरी थोड़ी कंपनी होगा, वो नहीं होगा कंपनी, तो इनकम टैक्स पे करेगा ना। प्रॉफिट इज इनकम, तो इनकम इज अ डायरेक्ट टैक्स, और ये तो जीएसटी पे डायरेक्ट टैक्स है ना, तो रेवेन्यू पर है। सेल करोगे तब उस पे मिलेगा। हाँ, वो है, लॉन्ग लिस्ट है। आप कार खरीदते उस पे है। हाँ, लेकिन हाई एंड तो नहीं कर सकते। हाँ, कार आप सिगरेट क्या हाई एंड कहोगे, बट फिर भी उसमें है वो थोड़ा वो फिल्टर्ड ऐसे करके, थोड़ा महंगे वाले नहीं, वो मोटे वाले सिगरेट नहीं होते, उसमें लगेगा, तो वो भी हाई एंड कर सकते हैं। बट देयर इज अ लॉन्ग लिस्ट, टू टाइप ओनली जीएसटी गूगल जीएसटी कंपनसेशन सेस ऑन आइटम्स, एक लंबा लिस्ट मिल जाएगा। बट इट इज सेलेक्टेड, नॉट ऑन ऑल, वो एक लंबा लिस्ट आपको मिल जाएगा। वो यहाँ पर्पस कोई सॉल्व नहीं करता, मैं वो भी लिखवा देता हूँ, लेकिन बहुत लंबा, कोई फायदा नहीं है, बस हमें जानना है क्यों। इसके बाद अलग कल होगा। यस, फर्स्ट राइट यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, फर्स्ट यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर। Chandan is asking what are the additional name of additional duty of customs? Countervailing duty, CVD. यूनियन फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, राइट, चेयरमैन। हाँ चेयरमैन, इसके सामने बिल्कुल दिस एंड ऐसे। नेक्स्ट वन, यूनियन मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट फॉर फाइनेंस, मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट फॉर फाइनेंस, मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट फॉर फाइनेंस। यस, राइट, अनदर मेंबर, अनदर मेंबर, यस, अनदर मेंबर। नेक्स्ट थर्ड वन सेलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, वन सेलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव from each state who may be finance minister, comma, minister related to taxation, and or any other minister. नहीं, बहुत कोई भी आ सकता है, or any other minister, for actually that related minister also, and animal husbandry related minister also. Yes, right. Yeah, another members, third one, another members, they all are other members. And see, these members would elect one person, he would be the representative of them, and he would be the vice chairman. So point number 4, right, any one of them, any one of them, नहीं, फोर्थ वाला है। हाँ उसी में you're right. Fourth fourth वाला ये any one of them as the elected representative. Any one of them as the elected representative, right? Vice chairman. Yes. अच्छा see, last कल भी है ना? So voting right, and see that states they have the 2/3 of the entire voting right. Yes, and the central government 1/3, the remaining 1/3, and to take any decision, yes, there is a need of 75% voting support. Yes, 75% voting support. Yes, and see, so now your question that why these items are not inside it? States have the majority. If they say no, it will be no. Petrol and diesel, last year government told that it will come under the GST. They told that we'll vote it out. Why? Because out of total 75%, almost 67 2/3 with the states, if they will vote it out, then the item would not be included inside the GST. Isn't it that one? So this entire 7 items not inside it because states are not favoring it. And they say that they are getting huge amount of revenue from that. So this is, but there are, see, although there is a recent Supreme Court order that not binding on the states, but not binding on the states when central government will deny it. Because the states खुद ही agreed है तो binding नहीं होने का मतलब ही नहीं. But suppose central government says that okay, because 75% voting support needed, states around 67, so obviously remaining if central will be agreed, then that will be okay. Suppose that central government is ready, but states are not ready. No, and suppose that state governments are telling 67 they have, and central government is not ready, still that will not become the part of this GST. So if some order given by the center, it's not binding on the states, written that GST council verdict is not binding on the states, but the state have the majority, so इसका meaning बहुत कम है. Because states ही तो इसको घुमाते हैं, और not binding on the states, तो किसका order binding नहीं है? They are in the majority, isn't it? And they are not allowing petrol and diesel. Last year, so many states finance ministers they told that if there is a proposal to bring petrol and diesel inside, it will vote it out. Because you see that crude oil 40 rupees, there is 28% tax. It is 11 rupees something. Take 12, so total 52 rupees. 2 rupees dealer commission, and this remaining 2 rupees you can say transport. 2 rupees this one refinery, and 2 rupees some additional. So 54, 6, 8, 60. So maximum it will be available to the people at what price? 60 rupees. But they say no. Out of 12, maximum 6 to the center and 6 to the states. We get 6 rupees only. And the lowest actually GST levied by the Uttarakhand 14. So that is more than the combined of this. And told that even we are not able to run our expenditure through that. If it will be under the GST, we get only half of it, 6 rupees and something. So obviously we cannot run our expenditures. There was suggestion by some economists, yeah, 40 energy. Suppose this is 60, you make one uniform SL VAT. Suppose 15, and you add that one along with the GST. So if you spend the GST already included, so it will be what? 75. Still relaxation to the people. States will know. Just got 15 this and 6 from here, 21. States who are levying less than 21 already, but which are levying more than 21, they were not agreed. Telangana around 28 to 29 rupees. Andhra Pradesh also 28 to 29. Maharashtra 32, Mumbai rest 31. 27 by some other states. They told no. You will not fulfilling the requirements with that tax. If it will be like 15 plus 21, then how can you do that? So अभी तक वो है. क्यों नहीं है? Now clear because states have the upper hand. There are 2 more members. They do not have the voting rights, but they are the members, ensuring the early ITC benefits, timely meetings and all. And those, please write somewhere. Members who do not have the voting rights. Yes, and one is CBIC chairman. CBIC chairman is another member without voting right. Another member. And the next one is revenue secretary. Revenue secretary. And he's ex officio secretary of GST council. Ex officio secretary means whoever will come at this office, he will be the secretary of GST council. So there are 2 members. They are members, but they do not have the voting right. CBIC chairman, revenue secretary. Who is the vice chairman? Please repeat once. That all the states would select 1 representatives, and those representatives would elect 1 person, and that 1 person would be the vice chairman. अभी कर्नाटका वाले ना, कर्नाटका के जो चीफ मिनिस्टर है, he is the vice chairman. Full form what? Central Board of Indirect Tax and Custom. Central Board. Earlier it was CBEC, Central Board of Excise Duty and Custom. After GST name changed to CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Tax, and that's why even if all the taxes would come inside the GST, the custom would remain aside. That's why CBIC, all indirect taxes one place, but custom different. So we will meet for the next topic tomorrow, and we'll meet for merits and demerits. Please remind me that we'll start from there. Thank you for today. If not having permanent establishment in India, and if it is generating revenue from India, then is it liable to pay corporate tax? Already replied, or are going to dictate the voting rights part of the voting right? Yes, Surya, I already told you. I've seen not having permanent establishment, and if it is generating revenue from India, liable to pay corporate tax and collection. Both, yes. If it is online companies, online providing online services, total 6 members. Every state would select 1 representative. So how 6? Every state would select 1 representative. That is this one. Voting rights will have to copy from here. Every state would select 1 representative. So that total states plus 2 central government representative, and apart from that 2 additional. Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Indirect Tax and Custom is the CBIC full form. Okay, thank you. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you.